Who's on the back porch? I've always been a big believer in the paranormal. I lost my dad in 2016, and I've heard him talk to me. I've seen things, felt things, all just unexplainable. I'll start with some background. So me and my friend, we'll call her Aubrey, met in September of 2017, 10 days after her daughter was born. She didn't like me at first, but before I knew it, she adopted me like her own, and we were attached at the hip, inseparable. I actually ended up living with her on and off for about a year or two, and helped her raise her daughter when me and my grandpa weren't on great terms. I call her mum, she calls me daughter, her daughter calls me sissy. We're family, blood or not. So you can take a guess how often I was at her house. We had friends over all the time, we were all super close, and that house was like a breeding ground for paranormal activity. Knocking on walls, footsteps down the hallway, things moving around, voices, the feeling of being watched, the random cold chills, even the piano playing by itself. Anyway, this particular story happened in 2018. I had just recently graduated high school, so I was always at her house. We enjoyed a nice smoke session on her back porch every once in a while, but she still had to mum and I still had to sister, so we never got blasted out of our minds. Just a few hits and we'd smoke some cigarettes and go to bed for the night when it was just us. Sometimes we'd stay up later just talking and laughing, but at that time, her daughter wasn't sleeping well, so we were usually exhausted and just wanted to sleep. This night, we had a friend of ours, James, come over and hang out for a bit, and we all smoked a few cigarettes, talked and laughed, and then James left, and we decided to call it a night, because Aubrey was exhausted and I didn't want to be out there alone, so I came inside too. So Aubrey goes back to bed, and she always turned her phone on Do Not Disturb because she didn't want to wake her daughter, since it was always a fight to get her to sleep. We did everything we could to not wake her. A brief layout. You walk into the front sitting room from the front door, and there's the hallway to the left that leads to the bedrooms. Aubrey's was the last on the left, and bathroom, and to the right there's the doorway to the kitchen all the way to the right on the north wall, and the doorway to the living room right next to it on the east wall. There's a pull-out couch in the sitting room that you can see into the kitchen from. So I have a clear look to the porch as well as the TV from where I'm laying on the pull-out couch. I've been inside for probably about an hour or two, scrolling through Instagram, when I suddenly hear a high-pitched frequency sound. So I sit up trying to see which direction it's coming from when I realize the TV got left on, but it's just a black screen, like if your gaming console goes into rest mode or your cable box turns off, still on, but nothing on the screen. I shrugged it off, just the TV, and as I'm going to roll over to lay back down, I see someone sitting in Aubrey's chair on the back porch smoking a cigarette. We all had our own assigned chairs outside. The back porch light is on, so I can clearly see someone there. But when the kitchen light is on too, it created a glare on the glass door. At first, I'm kind of moving my head around to get different views from where I'm sitting. Maybe somehow the glare is making it look like someone is sitting there and my eyes are just playing tricks on me. But no, it's a person, so then I start to think maybe James forgot his cigarettes or something. But he would have called or texted to let me know he was coming back to grab them, and especially would have said something if he was going to hang around to smoke a cigarette, alone or otherwise. So I'm looking, trying to figure out who the hell is smoking a cigarette on our back porch when we're not out there with them, without even telling us they'd be there, when it looks at me. It looks at me, dead in the eyes. I froze. I felt like I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, and my body was covered in chills. It starts to stand up, but I don't stick around long enough to find out whether it's going to walk right through the door like Casper, or knock on the door like a person. I grab my phone and run to the bathroom. I'm texting Aubrey over and over, telling her someone is outside and I don't know who it is. But of course she's not answering because her phone is on, so not disturb. Everyone knows, once Aubrey is in her room for the night, don't open that door for fear of waking the baby. So when I open the door, she's giving me a look like, "What the hell do you want?" And I'm trying to stay as quiet as possible, while I'm panicking trying to tell her someone is outside. She tells me to stay with her daughter while she grabs some type of weapon, I can't remember what, and she goes out back to look. She comes back and tells me she didn't see anything, no sign of anyone, nothing. She grabs the baby monitor and comes out to the living room with me while I tell her what just happened, and she offered to let me sleep in her room that night. I did. We never knew whether it was human or something else. Needless to say, we went out and bought baseball bats, machetes, and large hunting knives to leave in different parts of the house in case anyone ever tried to break in. Me and Aubrey are both 5'3" and 100 lbs, soaking wet with a tiny human to defend. Human or not, it was enough to make us come up with a plan if anything like that ever happened again. No one ever said they came over that night and just forgot to call. No one ever said, "Oh, that may have been me," when I told everyone the story. Me and Aubrey never found out who or what it was. Human, stranger, friend, apparition, paranormal. Who knows, I'll never forget it though.